Hi, I'm Corey Anfinson from Encourage Community Foundation. Losing your job can be devastating, but sometimes it opens new doors. Today we meet Dan Hofmeister, who took a risk and followed his dream. In 2007, Dan Hofmeister was working in the chip plant at Domtar's Port Edwards mill when the mill's closing was announced.
I was very happy in the job I had there. I had no plans on looking for a different job or going anywhere else, and look forward to going to work every day. So that pretty much turned our life upside down.
Cindy Kiesling knows that dislocated workers face many challenges. Taking advantage of resources and training is critical.
We never tell folks that it's an easy transition no matter what you do. It will be maybe the hardest thing you've done in your lifetime. Workers who take advantage of services in general, in particular training services, usually have better outcomes. That can be in wages, in benefits, in opportunities.
For Dan, it was the opportunity to become a line worker in the power industry, but it didn't come without concerns.
Ultimately, I wasn't sure that I was going to go to school. I had heard a lot of feedback from a lot of people about my age being a detriment to the career. I knew that it was going to require me to be away from home during my schooling.
Dan questioned his plan until a moving story inspired him to take a risk.
Over breakfast that morning, I was doing a daily devotional. It was written by a lady in New Zealand, I believe, and she talked about her grandkids playing out in the yard with dandelions that had been in bloom and how they would blow the bloom off the dandelions and it would scatter. But ultimately, that's necessary for that plant to leave where it is, to branch out, to go somewhere else, to start over. The minute I read that, I knew that it was really talking to me, really spoke to my heart that that's really what I needed to do. My last day of work was on Wednesday. Monday morning, I was headed to Beaver Dam for school.
MPTC line worker program is mentally and physically demanding.
Climbing a lot every day, doing tasks on the pole, working with transformers, string and wire, building sections of line.
After graduation, Dan began work at Alliance Sheboygan plant in August of 2010. He commuted before applying for a line worker apprenticeship in December. Then the waiting began.
I remember in particular after I had taken the test for the apprenticeship, not knowing how I had done at first, and I knew that the company anticipated making an announcement sometime in January. And as January came and went and not hearing anything, really started to be kind of a bummer because I was really hoping for this. And got a phone call on February 11th that I made it in the apprenticeship.
Now Dan's employed as an Alliant Energy line worker. Encourage heard his story following a survey of dislocated Domtar workers done in 2014.
As unfortunate as any downsizing is, we really want to take these opportunities to learn and understand how we can better serve dislocated workers and all workers in the future. The North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Board leadership had the foresight to think about how could we learn from the experience of Dan and his colleagues. Encourage funded the survey through our Workforce Central Funders Collaborative.
Survey results are helping improve communications for future dislocated workers.
That's really the big takeaway that we got from the survey, that you've got to keep that awareness up and you have to really keep communicating with those individuals on an ongoing basis. We are doing a web page, a separate web page just for dislocated workers that will link off the workforce development sites so that folks can see very quickly, okay, how am I eligible for this program? What are the services?
Dan's journey wasn't alone, and along the way, he learned a lot about himself.
You know, it was by no means me going off and doing this. I mean, there was other people that helped along the way. It was my family, my wife, my in-laws, other members of my family, friends. At first, I focused on my age as a negative thing. I found out that's not true. There's the work experience, what you've gained through life. I mean, that's something that employers can see.
I think the quality of life is really the reward for a lot of these folks when they do take that risk and take that leap and really do something that scares the heck out of them at the time.
Every day when I go to work, I'm thankful, and I realize the blessing I have being able to do that. I never thought I'd have a job as much as I enjoyed the one I did in Port, but now that I'm actually in Rapids, I'm home, I made it through the program, and just the things I get to do every day, I'm very happy, very happy.
That's it for this episode. I hope you're as inspired by Dan's courage as we were. Tune in for another episode of Are You In?